San Diego family escapes from Saigon. The grand jury calls the county methadone program a failure. And an elderly woman in Carlsbad has been evicted from her home after 60 years. I'm Harold Greene. The news is next.
It was 1904 in San Diego when people came from far and near to enjoy sandwiches made with Bohemian Breads and Rolls. Today, the Bohemian Restaurant and Bakery, 13th and Market, still makes the Bohemian Breads and Rolls that San Diegans love. Long loaves of Bohemian French bread, Bohemian sourdough French with a zesty flavor touch, hearty-sized Bohemian Kaiser rolls, Bohemian Breads and Rolls, now available fresh daily at all good food markets.
Here's an outstanding value from Wards. Do you own a yard, or does your yard own you? Well, now you can cut yard work down to size and save $23 with Wards' dependable rotary mower. It has a fast-cutting 3.5 horsepower engine plus quick pull-and-go starting, all for just $89.88. And right now, all in-stock lawn and garden power equipment is on sale. Everything, so save at Wards.
And show your yard who's boss.
The 1975 Volvos from Sweden are here. Volvo, the car for people who think. And they're at the Garton Motor Company in Escondido. A short drive for big savings, better trade-ins, the best service, and the friendliest Volvo dealer in the county. Do come by, take a look, and say hello. That's the Garton Motor Company, 900 West Mission Avenue, just west of 395, in Escondido.
Frank Sinatra Jr. visits Merv tonight at 6:30 on Channel 10.
Hello, here's what's new at 5. C. Arnholt Smith was back in court today. He was fined for making illegal campaign contributions, and he was also given a lecture by a federal judge. Channel 10's Joe McMann was there.
Before announcing sentence, Judge Robert Schnocke said that just because everybody knows these illegal campaign contributions go on, it doesn't make them right, and this would be a good time to put a stop to the practice. He then fined Smith $10,000. The San Diego millionaire had been found guilty last month of making illegal campaign contributions back in 1970 to former California Senator George Murphy. Smith's attorney had asked Schnocke to dismiss 2 counts against his client because he couldn't be found guilty if the co-defendant, Sovereign State Capital, hadn't been found guilty too. It wasn't. However, the judge turned down that defense request. Later, Smith told reporters he was having money troubles, and the $10,000 fine wouldn't help them any.
All of my property is under a lien that was never discussed with me. They'd never asked whether I owed the money or talked to my accountants, just reached out and attached everything I own. I have no income, can't have an income, so you can imagine it's going to be a very serious financial impact.
Are you going to be able to pay your bills, Mr. Smith? Are you going to be able to?
I think that we'll be able to handle it in some fashion or another.
I think so.
Yeah. We got to go.
That's right.
We got this way.
Smith plans to appeal today's $10,000 fine. Still ahead for the former Mr. San Diego is the $18 million fraud case involving his former bank, U.S. National. For the news, I'm Joe McMann reporting from the federal courthouse.
And the trustees of the Westgate Corporation, once part of the Smith financial empire, filed suit today against the federal government. Now, they say the federal banking agencies damaged the Westgate Group as it tried to reorganize its finances, and they want $100 million in damages on this Thursday night, April 24th.
The news with Harold Greene, Jack White, Hal Clement on sports, Mike Ambrose with the weather, and the award-winning Channel 10 News team.
The city continues to have its problems in contract negotiations with employee groups. Those problems could eventually lead to a strike by firemen. We get more on that story from Channel 10's Richard Hart.
One union representing people who work for the city of San Diego is still bargaining with the city council. But 3 other unions, including those representing police and firemen, are in a frustrating position. The city is refusing them any increase in wages or benefits. One veteran police bargainer told the News, to his memory, this is the first time the city has ever taken that position. The Police Officers Association has called in the Teamsters for help, possibly in a sympathy strike against the city. Today, over 100 firemen attended a closed meeting to discuss their options. The firefighters will announce a decision tomorrow, which may include the threat of a strike. The city manager's office says bad economic times give government a simple choice: raise pay and lay off a few workers, or maintain present pay levels. The city would rather maintain present pay levels. For the News, I'm Richard Hart.
As we told you last night, the fire department is actively recruiting minority firefighters, especially women. But those interested won't find the going any easier than the 5 women who flunked out earlier. Channel 10's Kirstie Wilde tells us why.
Competition Day at the Fire Academy has Olympic-style events where the students show the physical skills they've learned in the last 8 weeks. These skills are strenuous, so the cities decide to begin a new pre-employment program to help weed out some of the less physically fit before they're hired.
150 foot at 2.5 with collective look, 24-foot ladder.
Some say these new tests will unfairly keep women off the force. Last year, 5 women started in the academy for the first time in San Diego history, and all 5 were fired because of inadequate strength. Now it's time for a new firefighting class, and the city says it's recruiting minorities and women. One female who was fired last year says the city should try harder to prepare women for the force.
If they're going to hire women, you're going to have to teach them the techniques of how to do certain skills instead of just, okay, it's all strength, get out there and do it with your big strong arms. Because they don't have the big strong arms, they're going to have to teach techniques for women, and especially in the ladder.
Do you think that in this recruiting program they're going to take the time to try to work with women to get them in shape so they can pass the test?
They better, because it's inevitable. The women are going to be on.
For the news, I'm Kirstie Wilde reporting.
The evacuation of Americans and their families from South Vietnam is very nearly complete tonight, but for one family, which arrived here in San Diego late last night, the change has been so sudden, they're not exactly sure what's happening. Channel 10's Greg Dumas tells us more.
Saigon is far away from Mrs. Sanford Hunt and her 2 children. But a jet across the California sky brings chilling memories of desperation. But it's only a brief chill. She is safe now at the home of her husband's parents in Poway after a hasty departure from Vietnam Sunday. Hunt, a linguist for the State Department, knows that the stage of discovery his family is experiencing now will be followed by a letdown, but he's prepared.
Well, actually in Saigon it wasn't particularly terrifying at the time we left, but it feels really good to be home and to know that there's no possibility of having my family get stuck in the middle of a hot war over there. At this point, we haven't really come back down to earth after our trip, and I'm sure at a later date we'll start feeling the results of having left a major part of our family behind in Vietnam.
The embassy helped Hunt get passports for his family. As an American, he had an advantage. But Vietnamese with no money to bribe passport officials may not have a chance to leave ever.
Some people go to the Orient, others to places beyond the Himalayas in search of a Shangri-La, away from guns and jets and fear. The Sandy Hunt family has found their Shangri-La here in Poway, California. For the news, I'm Greg Dumas reporting.
And about an hour and a half ago, a plane loaded with 206 people arrived at Travis Air Force Base. That flight originated at Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines. Those on board were U.S. citizens and Vietnamese with American relatives or sponsors. An appeal by the California Citizens Adoption Council is urging the granting of full citizenship to Vietnamese children fathered by Americans. The group says the United States should emulate the action taken by the French government, which granted full citizenship to Vietnamese children born of French fathers.
The head of California's welfare program has a different idea about Vietnamese refugees. Mario Oblido doesn't want them here until plans are made to care for them. He sent a letter of protest to Secretary of State Kissinger.
I sent him a telegram requesting to meet with him concerning the issue of Vietnamese refugees being brought into the state of California and some of the problems that it would present to state government.
What were the specifics? What kind of problems were you concerned about?
Well, the federal government never contacted the state officials regarding the bringing of Vietnamese citizens into the state of California. It presents immense problems of, I think, housing, employment, health, problems that would have a fiscal impact on the state when the state cannot afford any additional financial burdens. We have the highest unemployment rate in the country. The greatest number of people that are unemployed, have tremendous welfare benefits area, and so time might create an almost impossible situation on state government.
The House and Senate have each passed a bill that provides troops, if necessary, to evacuate Americans from South Vietnam, but the bills differ on how big the evacuation operation can be and on the nature of the president's authority to use troops. We'll work out a compromise tomorrow.
Save on today's fashions at month-end sale prices. Stretch your fashion dollars at Marsi's. Pull from regular stock for end-of-the-month sale last Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of every month. Fantastic savings on dresses, a great selection of tops and blouses in the newest fashions. Express yourself in switchables, pants, and skirts. A group of pantsuits below yesterday's prices. Shop all Marsi's stores, Fashion Valley, La Jolla, Grossmont, College Grove, Chula Vista, and Parkway Plaza.
Have you considered comparing whole wheat total with the leading natural cereals? You'll see there's a big difference. 1 ounce of fortified total gives you 100% of the recommended daily allowance of all these important vitamins and iron. 1 ounce of the leading natural cereals gives you no more than 6%. Check the vitamins and iron listed on the side panels. You'll see 100% versus 6%. That's the total difference.
I'm Bill Guy, president of Blue Cross of Southern California, and people are what we are all about. We believe that if you're not getting personal service, you're just not getting quality health care. Your health is our only concern, because people are Southern California's greatest resource.
We challenge Mrs. Stanley.
Can you see any difference between these 2 spoons of coffee?
No, I really don't.
Actually, there is a difference between those 2 coffees. One is old Folger's crystals, and one is new improved Folger's crystals with richer, better flavor.
I'd like to see what you think is the richer cup of coffee. What do you think of that? Very good. Now try the second.
I like it better. But how could you describe it? Just a good, rich cup of coffee.
New Folger's crystals with richer, better flavor.
The county grand jury has issued a report highly critical of the county's methadone treatment program. Among other things, that report said there is no evidence that anyone ever treated in a methadone clinic has been cured. It says many of them may have kicked heroin, but that the dependence on methadone may be just as bad. The report also said the clinics cost too much, that the records kept at the clinics are inadequate, and that the county health department should be running the program instead of other groups.
The Assembly passed a measure that will retain the controversial tax loophole for small oil producers and many individuals. But the measure will stop 19 large oil companies from deducting 22% of their income from oil and gas wells before they pay taxes. With oil and gas at a premium, utility bills continue to go up. San Diego gas and electric customers who have suffered through 11 rate increases in less than 2 years often wonder what it's like in other California cities. We have the first of 2 stories on that from Channel 10's John Beatty in San Francisco.
Here in San Francisco, as with most of Northern California, the people must depend upon PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric Company, for their gas and electricity. And for the people here, the utility bill has just been going up.
I noticed in the last year it's gone up about 25%, and it's getting pretty bad. I don't know if the end's ready inside or not.
Well, I live in Hayward, out in the suburbs, but what we've done, we turned off our gas completely. We haven't used it for a month, and like there's been a difference of, I'd say, maybe $15, you know, in that.
I think it's pretty high, and I also think that in time that maybe there would be some depreciation in cutting it back. At least I hope so, because the way things are going at the present time is pretty outrageous.
Well, I live across the bay in Marin County, but it's going up, probably 30 or 40% in the past year.
Are you happy about it, or?
Of course not. And I know I'm not happy about it. Should I be?
In the past year, the average utility bill went up $5.51, and that was just offset higher costs for fuel and gas. PG&E says the average gas and electric bill is about $29. And additional general rate increases for gas and electricity now before the State Public Utilities Commission to expand the utility bill another $9.42. PG&E now operates one nuclear power plant but has two more under construction. They've experienced no major problems in meeting the demands of the people in San Francisco. But they are feeling some pressures. One San Francisco area group is pushing for a state law to give a utility rate break to the people who use only a small amount of gas and electricity, with the big users making up the difference. That would reverse current rate structures. And they felt pressure from the federal government as well. Just this past weekend, the Federal Energy Administration urged the State Public Utilities Commission to revise Pacific gas and electric rates so that there would be a higher charge for electricity use during the major peak period.
Here in Sacramento, we get our electricity from SMUD, the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, which is publicly owned. Our electric rates are among the lowest in the nation. A typical customer in February, according to SMUD, used 607 kilowatt hours with an electric bill of $11.58. In fact, electric rates have increased only 15% since 1957. And that's because SMUD does not depend on expensive petroleum. It has a series of hydroelectric generating plants on the American River, which have been able to serve peak needs. In addition, the district's $370 million nuclear power plant 25 miles from here has just begun operating at full capacity. That will give SMUD the power it needs through this decade at a cost far below plants operating with coal or oil. Currently, hearings are underway to see if the district will build yet another controversial nuclear power plant to serve Sacramento's needs in the 1980s.
A Baltimore Savings and Loan Company that bought the Gagosian house in La Jolla has filed suit to evict the occupants there. 5 people plus the title company are listed as defendants. That home was purchased for about $750,000 recently. The man who built it, Earl Gagosian, is also suing one of the occupants, Charles Leggett, over an earlier sale of the home. And in Carlsbad, a woman who has lived in a different type of home for as long as anyone in the area can remember is being thrown out of that house. North County Bureau Chief John Hanna explains why.
For 65 years, Miss Grace Polk has lived in what Carlsbad calls a homesteader's shack. She owned the property before an ordinance forbidding such homes without inside water or toilets or electricity, so Carlsbad couldn't force her out, and nobody could buy her out. Grace just lived here with up to 26 cats at a time. Then recently, lighting her kerosene lantern one night, she started a little fire. It didn't do much damage, but it was all Carlsbad needed to finally lock her out.
We told her to stay out of the house till the fire department give it an okay or submit plans to our department that they will renovate the house because as it is now, it's not fit for human occupancy.
I think it's an outrage.
It's a what?
It's an outrage.
In what way?
They did what they did without 1 minute's notice to me.
Time has seen the property zoned commercial, and Grace Polk couldn't build a more modern home on the property if she wanted to. It's estimated she could get $50,000 for the land, but she just wants to be with her house. So, locked out of it at 87, she waits to sleep at night in the home she was assigned to by county welfare. And by day, she just sits on her front steps. In the meantime, city officials say they're continuing to look for a way to relieve her of the property. For the news, I'm John Hanna reporting from Carlsbad.
Robinson's presents their famous month-end clearance. Enormous savings throughout the store. Everybody has month-end sales, but nobody has more beautiful merchandise at such greatly reduced prices. Choose fashions, menswear, children's clothing, accessories, cosmetics, home furnishings, shoes, something in every department. Be at Robinson's Fashion Valley early Saturday. Sale lasts 1 day, Saturday only. Store hours 10 till 5:30. Don't miss the famous month-end sale at Robinson's Fashion Valley.
This is Aqua-Massage, the marvelous new way to pamper yourself while you shower. Aqua-Massage is hundreds of pulsating water jets per minute, massaging your body like the soothing hands of a professional masseur. Aching muscles relax, tension seems to melt away. Turn the shower head and body-hugging rings of water cascade down to engulf you unlike any other shower. Try Aqua-Massage for the sheer pleasure of it. Aqua-Massage is available in either wall mount or European-style handheld models.
You've seen this distinctive red carpet sign in our area for some time now, and you're likely to see more of them going up here and across the country. Why? Because more and more of you are finding that when you list or look with red carpet, you have hundreds of skilled and highly trained salespeople working for you. From coast to coast, Red Carpet Realtors, an uncommonly efficient firm you can count on for results.
Hi, here at El Rancho Ford, there's more than just new cars. We have some great used car buys for you, like a 1973 Gran Torino two-door hardtop, V8 automatic power steering and air conditioning, $19.95. A 1972 Pinto Runabout automatic radio and heater, just $16.95. A 1969 Datsun four-cylinder automatic for only $10.95. And a 1969 Volkswagen four-speed radio and heater for only $11.95. So hurry on out to El Rancho Ford today and tell them that the Straight Shooter sent you.
You know the old saying, you can't tell the players without a program? Well, Bonnie Haynes is getting into that position now. You need a calendar to find out what in the heck's going to be on call for action. Thursday is Price Crisis Day, Friday is Buyer's Information Day, and I get Saturday and Sunday off. What have you got new for us?
I don't know about call for action, but in Consumer Alert, that's the way it is.
Wrong calendar, wrong calendar.
Food prices in the Midwest and on the East Coast seem to be falling rapidly now, so I was a little disappointed to see such a small difference in San Diego food prices in this week's price check. In my market basket this week, 5 of the 15 items changed in price. Margarine, for example, went down 7 cents. That's good news. Kraft cheese slices went up 4 cents. Down 1 cent was some green beans. Up 1 cent, some soup, tomato soup. And bananas are up 4 cents a pound, but they're healthier looking bananas than I bought before. The rest of the items, the juice and the milk, the cake mix, the bread, and the meat, the dog food, the tuna, the soap, the eggs, and the toilet tissue were just the same this week as they were 2 weeks ago when I last checked. All those 15 items together bring a total of $9.98 for this week. Did you get that soup spelled S-U-P? The 3 items that increased in price, cheese, soup, and bananas, increased by a total of 13 cents. The green beans and margarine fell a total of 8 cents together in price, and it was kind of like a step backward to this week's food shopper. But while we talk of food prices, the government is continuing its investigation of price increases in cereals. The Council on Wage and Price Stability has asked Nabisco, General Foods, Walston Purina, General Mills, Quaker Oats, and Kellogg for reports on their pricing policies. And Harold, I think everybody would like to know that we sent this bag of groceries, 2 bags in all, to an East San Diego couple.
How come? People
Well,
always want to know how come certain folks get the food each year.
Yeah, for good reasons. I think they've applied for welfare and they haven't gotten their food stamps yet, and they're having a hard time making it.
Well, thank you very much. I'm sure they appreciate that. Mike Ambrose had a bit of a complaint, though. He said each and every Thursday we cover things like soup and bananas, and he said, what about the rich people? What about caviar and champagne prices? You think maybe we could get that
I don't think it's
in?
really necessary that I look into the prices of those 2 things, but maybe someday in Price Crisis I will.
Sorry, Mike, you'll have to do your own shopping. Jack, as we move on.
Harold, one of the top Democratic leaders of the House, urged passage today of a $5 billion public works program that was told by one House committee member that the money was needed very much. Now, that bill is designed to provide $250,000 in emergency public employment jobs. Prices over on the New York stock market inched higher today following 2 losing sessions. Today's trading was the heaviest of the week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained just over a point. A share of common stock was down about a penny, and the Standard & Poor's Index was down 0.08.
Construction workers at the site of El Cajon's new City Hall dug up more than just another mound of dirt yesterday. This is the outline of a fossil they say is nearly 20,000 years old. Some bits and pieces of the find still remain, but the fossil was taken to the Museum of Man, where it must dry out and harden before it can be thoroughly examined. One scientist told our Michael Brown the fossil is that of a breed of elephants that once roamed this area.
It's probably related to the mastodon. Some of the better mastodon specimens are found up in the Rancho La Brea area. There have been some fragments that have been found down here in San Diego, and this represents just a small fragment of one that came out of El Cajon.
That elephant was from the Pleistocene period, which was categorized by large ice glaciers and the emergence of modern man.
This is a good time to do something about the appearance of your car. Mako Auto Painting and Body Works will paint the original factory color for as low as $54.95. Mako will give you a free estimate on any body damage, then professionally repair and refinish your car using modern spray and oven equipment. Mako, where you get a quality job at a reasonable price. That's Mako Auto Painting and Body Works at 312 North Marshall, El Cajon, and 2820 Main Street in Chula Vista.
You can go to Sambo's day or night. The food is good, the price is right. You can eat dinner anytime.
And you can dine for $1.99 at Sambo's. Now, till May 11th, our dinner special is Sambo's all-beef chopped steak, chili and beans, soup or salad, dinner bread, beverage, and dessert. And that's a lot of good dinner for $1.99 at Sambo's.
Something good is always cooking at Sambo's.
Hair blowers are great for styling, but they may cause dried out, overblown hair. That's why you need Flex Balsam and Protein Instant Conditioner. It helps repair dried out, overblown hair. How? With Revlon's unique balance of balsam and protein. It penetrates dried out hair, makes it healthy looking, shiny, and flexible again. Get Flex Balsam and Protein Instant Conditioner. Flex Shampoo, too, from Revlon, to help repair even dry, overblown hair.
The National City Mile of Cars really has all sorts. RVs, trucks, all kind of cars in small and large and sports. Now, I tell you what, you save you time and save you lots of bucks on hundreds of models in 35 makes of new and used cars and trucks. Now, there's cars in Mission Valley. There's trucks in El Cajon. But the Mile of Cars is the only place where all these wheels are shown. There's some in Escondido. Kearney Mesa has a few, but none can show you all the cars like Mile of Cars can do. 15 freeway minutes close for cars both used and new. 13th to 30th Streets on National Avenue.
On a Thursday night, as we inch our way towards a weekend here in Southern California, let's turn to Mike Ambrose and the AccuWeather forecast, which hopefully will cover Saturday and Sunday.
It will. We'll get to the 5-day projection at the end of this thing. By the way, for you temperature buffs, let's fill you in on the record set for this date. Back in 1910, the warmest it ever got in San Diego was 83 degrees, and again, that was set back in 1910. The overnight low that was the coldest for this record was set back in 1880. As compared with today's temperatures down at Lindbergh Field, 67.56. We have a rather heavy cloud layer over the Southland. This is not part of the system that is moving on down the Pacific coast, which is resting comfortably right now up around San Francisco. It is still the residual effect of that marine layer, which is a very deep layer of air off the Pacific coast. And as the day progresses, it usually floats in toward the mountains. It begins to stack up, and we had a rather cloudy day today. And we expect pretty much the same tomorrow, with a 30% possibility of rain either tonight or tomorrow morning. As far as the coastal highs were concerned, Oceanside, 66, the same for Del Mar, 67, 56 San Diego. We have some of the overnight lows on the map, like 46 at Del Mar, 42 at Poway, compared with 66 for the high. Fallbrook, 40, 65. El Cajon, one of the warmest places in the county, 70 was the afternoon high. Chula Vista, 64, 46, 69, 43 at Alpine. And the mountain stations are still kind of cold. The overnight low freezing at the top of Mount Laguna, 32, 56 the range of temperature. And now the sunrise and sunset for tomorrow. 608, 726. The visibility surprisingly high, about 25 miles. Winds are the northwest at 10 knots. Our humidity, as you can see, is beginning to inch up now, 63%. Our barometer falling. Mountain forecast, showers tomorrow, and the snow level by tomorrow should be about 4,000 feet. The deserts also expect some showers. The area winds along the coast, southwest 8 to 12 knots tonight, becoming northwesterly 15 to 25 knots by tomorrow. And the forecast mostly cloudy, and the chance of showers by tomorrow morning. And by the way, it should be cooler in all areas. Now, for you surfer types, the surf outlook is as follows. Southwest swells of 3 feet, breakers up to 4 feet at 11 to 14 second intervals. So all in all, it should be a 4 on a 10-point scale tomorrow. Let's go to outer space now for the national satellite, which is a rather busy one. This was taken at 1 o'clock this afternoon from outer space, and you can see a thick overcast covering the Pacific Northwest, and again, this should affect Southern California in the next few hours. Also over the Ohio Valley, scattered or broken clouds are present over the northern plains and parts of the Gulf Coast and the Northeast. As far as our national service map is concerned, it pretty well reflects what we had on the satellite. It is raining in places like Seattle now and all through Washington, Oregon, and up through Northern California, right on down to San Francisco. We project this front should be right around the Los Angeles basin, where it's beginning to really cloud up right now. About this time, say by 11 o'clock tonight, The front should have moved down to about here. Also, rain is general over Idaho, parts of Montana, Wyoming, Salt Lake City, say Utah, Colorado, Denver. A partly cloudy day and 62-75. The afternoon high over at Phoenix under partly cloudy skies. Got a couple of low pressure systems here and a stationary front through the Dakotas. The lows are over Nebraska and Kansas. And it is surprisingly warm in the Midwest, considerably warmer than right here in Southern California, where we're supposed to have all of that, 75 at Kansas City. They just missed some rain at St. Louis after very substantial rain yesterday. 61 was the high, 82 at New Orleans. A little bit of rain along here, and cloudy at Atlanta, 63, some rain at New York, partly cloudy Boston. Buffalo was fogged in the early morning hours, and the afternoon high was 50, and here's the 5-day projection. And Harold, it does indeed go right on through the weekend. Friday, tomorrow, a 30% chance of rain. Saturday, the showers should be ending. Sunday, mostly fair. Monday, again, we have a new front moving in, partly cloudy, and Tuesday, pretty much the same. That's our 5-day projection, and we move along. Harold?
I hate to keep pressing you on
Yes,
this, Michael,
sir.
but as we all know, you did send in $20 to the Meteorological Society, an application to join that august body of folks that tell us about the weather here in the United States. And what's the latest on that, Mike?
Well, of course, as I told you last night, they did accept part of my application, the $20 I sent in. They did accept that, and they're going over my qualifications, and I'm a little nervous about it, but I expect to be accepted.
Well, since you dummied the qualifications, you should be nervous about that. Just ahead of the next half hour, a local doctor has a plan that could save thousands of infants. More starving horses are found in the state. Insta-Cam visits the Rose Show. Terrorists strike in Sweden. Jack White tries to run away with the circus, and Hal has the latest on the first-place Padres. You'll see it all right after this.
Every week, Big Bear Markets offer big food savings, Big Bear quality, and S&H green stamps. This week's bargains include San Diego County's finest strawberries, just 29 cents for a 12-ounce basket. Tender preferred beef round steak bone-in, $1.29 a pound. And this week, buy Viva paper towels for just 49 cents a roll. Springfield Natural or Pink Grapefruit Juice, a 46-ounce can, 39 cents. Choicest meats, freshest produce, and S&H green stamps. Always at your locally owned and operated Big Bear Markets.
5. I've got 5 dependents.
Hey, you had a little one since last year.
Oh, no, a big one. He eats more than all the kids combined.
Security Pacific Bank can help you meet obligations like taxes with Ready Reserve Account. With pre-approved credit, you can write checks for more than you have in your checking account.
I'm sorry. He may be a deduction to you, but to us, he's just a dog.
I hope you're happy.
When you're in Love's, the whole world's delicious.
At Love's Restaurants, food is an experience. Slow southern wood smoke, hearty western flavors, tantalizing basting sauces. Absolutely unique barbecue prepared and presented with care for you. One thing more, Love's is easy. It isn't far from home. When you're in Love's, the whole world's delicious.
Last year was a rotten year for cars. Volkswagen sales were down. Vega, down. Pinto, down. Toyota, down. Gremlin, down. Datsun, down. Capri, Opel, Mazda, down. Of these leading small cars last year, only one was up, Fiat. It was our best year ever.
A doctor at University Hospital in San Diego has come up with an idea that he says may keep some infants alive. It all involves waterbeds, and Greg Dumas tells us more about it.
The waterbed womb for premature infants is intended to make the transition to the world a gentle one. Incubators with flat surfaces and noisy ventilators are foreign to the infant accustomed to the security of a mother's womb. The waterbed provides a weightless, warm environment with recorded, comforting sounds of a mother's heartbeat. Dr. Louis Gluck, who helped develop the waterbed, feels the artificial womb will prove life-saving to hundreds of premature infants who die each year from sudden death syndrome.
This is their tendency to forget to breathe. We think that later in life, a good number of these babies during the course of the first year become infants who die from sudden infant death or crib death. There's ample evidence that if one stimulates an infant like this sufficiently and adequately, that this may prevent his stopping breathing.
Eventually, the recordings of the maternal heart will be combined with voice stimulation. later replaced by voice and music. Eventually, all the other incubators will be replaced by one such as this, providing a happy transition for premature babies from the womb to the world. For the news, I'm Greg Dumas reporting from University Hospital.
A USC journalism student who briefly interviewed former President Nixon last weekend said today Mr. Nixon is feeling fine. The former president told Carrie Granville, the editor of the USC newspaper, that he's about 75 to 80% recovered from his fight with phlebitis. Jack?
Harold, things aren't quite so good. A little bit further to the north, the Humane Society officials up in Sacramento have discovered a large number of starving horses at several pastures in that area. Now, so far, they have found 32 horses suffering from starvation and maltreatment. One of them is dead. 2 people have been arrested and 1 is still being sought. Up in San Francisco, there are 200 swans with a fatal virus swimming in a lagoon at the Palace of Fine Arts. Now, since the birds have a disease, some federal scientists want them destroyed. But a Superior Court judge says nobody is going to destroy birds in San Francisco unless there is an imminent danger of safety to people. Well, there's going to be a hearing on the swan issue next Tuesday morning.
Marines at Camp Pendleton are taking part in a program that hopefully will help them understand themselves and each other a whole lot better. John Hanna has more on that.
Not all of a Marine's training is out on the ranges, learning how to fire weapons at the enemy. A few years ago, the people at Camp Pendleton and the rest of the military establishment decided it would be a good idea to have a class in human relations, and each Marine now, from privates to colonels, must have 20 hours of it a year.
We tried to broaden the approach to cover more than just racial, but cover communication problems both between ethnic groups, age groups, and ranks within the military system.
I think the example that we should set is one of respecting other cultures, not just making that rhetoric, but making it actuality.
Could you read page 138, please?
Technical review. If men are basically the same, with the same basic needs for life, then we can learn to appreciate or understand the difference between ourselves and others, using the 4 steps for culture shock cure.
The Marine Commandant wants the meetings called discussions and not encounter sessions. He says encounter sessions imply a lack of military protocol, and even Marine human relations courses require an observance of rank consciousness. For the news, I'm John Hanna reporting from Camp Pendleton.
Police in Stockton say an Iranian princess staged an elaborate hoax to make authorities believe she had been kidnapped. At one point, more than 100 policemen were looking for the 20-year-old girl who attends the University of Pacific. She said the entire charade was nothing more than part of a bet, and she went on to say she's never been able to turn down a dare.
The city of San Diego can boast some added beauty this week as it plays host to the National Rose Show. It's the type of show that draws some quiet but very intense contestants. Kirstie Wilde visited the show today with Insta-Cam and has this report.
Rose lovers come from all across America for these national contests, and they work for years to develop winning flowers. How do you feel about winning this national award?
My highest ambition. I've worked on this a long time, and I'm just so delighted that I won this. It's just great.
The 2 top awards. What did you have to go through to get your roses here from Texas?
Well, we hired us an airplane seat and brought me a box made out of urethane, and I brought about 25 roses over in it in keepers. We cut them Sunday and Monday in the rain.
So you had to buy a seat just for your roses?
Yes, we bought a seat just to bring the roses. So.
Everything is beautiful.
For the news, I'm Kirstie Wilde reporting.
How many lights do you have on right now? How many do you need? Every time you flip a light switch, you're turning up your electric meter. And every time you leave a light burning, you leave that meter running. So turn off the lights you're not using and leave energy waste in the dark.
In every Saab, you'll find durable construction, like Volvos, the luxury of a spacious interior, like Audis, gas economy, like Dashers, the performance of an overhead cam engine, like BMWs, comfortable reclining seats, like Peugeots, the safety of four-wheel disc brakes, like Mercedes-Benz. All the things you look for in a car, you'll find in every Saab. Saab, it's what a car should be.
Think they'll find us soon? Don't know. What day is it? Thursday, Friday? Thursday, Friday. That's when participating Dairy Queens are having their banana split sale. Think of it. A whole banana. 3 mounds of cold, smooth Dairy Queen, topped with strawberry, chocolate, and pineapple, and whipped topping for only 59 cents. What? Harry, what are you doing? Sit up and roll!
I wouldn't say that, Merv. Let me throw you a question now. Here you sit on a television show that's seen all over the country, day in and day out. Today, you had Miss Deborah Carr to come on the program. I don't recall too many times I've seen her on an interview show. Don't you feel the same? I don't know if it's awe, but isn't it kind of pleasing to meet somebody and know that that person is really real?
Absolutely. Deborah Carr and Frank Sinatra Jr. visit Thursday's Merv Griffin Show at 6:30 on Channel 10.
This late development, a bomb has destroyed the West German embassy in Stockholm. Terrorists had been holding a dozen hostages in that embassy and had threatened to blow it up unless a number of other terrorists were released. First reports indicate a number of hostages died in the explosion and that flying glass injured police and firemen. One man was shot to death when the embassy was taken over earlier today. In New Haven, Connecticut, 10 men have been charged with the bombing of a sponge rubber plant that put hundreds of people out of work. It's the biggest arson case in FBI history. 3 or more synchronized bombs went off on the morning of March 1st. The ensuing fires burned the 2.5-block-long plant for over 6 hours and caused over $14 million damage. Among those arrested were the president of the company and a Baptist minister, who is also a self-proclaimed psychic who predicted a catastrophe there several weeks before the explosion. More startling testimony today at the trial of 2 SLA members in Sacramento. Clifford Jefferson, the man also known as Death Row Jeff, claimed yesterday that he ordered the killing of Oakland School Superintendent Marcus Foster. And today he pinned the murder on a dead man, SLA member Willie Wolf. Jefferson said Russell Little and Joseph Romero are not guilty of the crime.
Call for Action reporter Dale Schwartz is here in the studio with us. He had a very busy day today. He was out trying to find the answers to, well, a new type of complaint.
Had a lot of long-distance telephone calls, Jack. A truck owner in San Diego turned to call for action when a repair bill, estimated first at $1,600, ultimately came to $3,600.
Oliver took his truck to a San Diego repair shop last December 23rd. As it turned out, his problems were multiplied with an excessive amount of downtime on the truck, time that Oliver couldn't haul freight to earn money. The truck came out of the shop January 7th, camshaft and pistons repaired. And on a trip to Texarkana, Arkansas, the truck broke down again. For the same reason it was taken into the garage in the first place. That happened again in Rosemead, California, and again in San Diego. All this in a span of time from December 23rd to March 17th. Oliver came to us to find out if he had any recourse. The first repair bill was for $1,600, the next one for $1,400, and 3 more bills until he now faces $3,600 in repair costs. Mr. Oliver, did you contact the Bureau of Automotive Repair?
Yes, I did.
And what did they say?
Well, they said that a truck of that type was beyond their authority, that if I wanted to do anything about it, that probably have to get an attorney of my own or something of that sort.
And as far as an organization of truckers, you don't belong to any?
No, I don't. No.
We referred Mr. Oliver to the fraud division of the district attorney's office as the first step. In another case, Mrs. Ann Vincent of La Mesa telephoned us with this urgent plea. Her son, Joe, is a muscular dystrophy patient. While at the Padre game last night, someone took his custom-made wheelchair. He really needs this chair to get around. You see, Joe hasn't walked in 7 years. If you know where the wheelchair is, call Mrs. Vincent at this number, 462-2778. That number again is 462-2778. Sure, I'd like to close that case.
Boy, that's got to be a new low. That's one of those stories there's just nothing you can say coming out of.
Right.
Except we'll have the sports after this timeout.
Johnny Miller. Mutual of New York and La Costa present
Jack Nicklaus.
The 23rd Annual Money Tournament of Champions.
Lee Trevino.
There's no championship like it. Each golfer must be a major PGA tournament winner to play. Practice rounds April 22nd and 23rd. The $200,000 tournament April 24th through the 27th. See your sports pages for details. The 23rd Annual Money Tournament of Champions. Don't miss it.
I never thought I'd start wearing dresses again. But then I went to the J.C. Penney Summer Dress Carnival, and I couldn't believe how many dresses they had. Thong dresses, layered outfits, skirts, tops, dresses with jackets, dresses without. All kinds of beautiful dresses. And the prices are terrific. This is just one of the dresses I bought. You see, J.C. Penney Summer Dress Carnival has some terrific reasons to start wearing dresses again.
Now, at First Federal Savings, you can enjoy the advantages of your own Prestige card.
Prestige card, the only nationally recognized savings card that does away with the need and the bother of a passbook.
Prestige card, easier to use, allows you to withdraw funds even when you're out of town.
First Federal Savings is delighted to be the first savings and loan in San Diego to offer this exciting new service.
Some people think America doesn't know much about small cars. But the leader in small cars today is Ford. Name a car that's as easy to buy, as easy to service, and as easy to resell as a Pinto. Name a car that's as sensible and still as much fun as a Mustang II. Now, name someone who can make you a better deal than your local Ford dealer. No one else can. That's why he's number one.
Before we get to Hal and the sports, and he tells us about the latest Padre heroics, it's worth another look at what happened last night. Channel 10's Jack Moorhead was there, along with more than 43,000 other folks.
The crowd tells the story. Fans began arriving here more than 3 hours before game time. All roads leading to the stadium were jammed with traffic, as was the entire parking lot. General admission seats were all that was left for the latecomers. It was a different story from the Padres' first game of the season, when only 17,000 showed up. More than 43,000 went through the turnstiles this time. The Padres went into the game leading the Western Division by a game and a half. As far as San Diegans are concerned, they've got the hottest team in baseball right now. Just about the only complaints heard were at the concession stands, where the cups of beer are smaller and more expensive this year. But even those gripes were good-natured for the most part.
Mostly that's what it costs to have a winner, I guess.
The rising cost of living was of little concern to this crowd. There was excitement and cheering long before the game started. The Padres have won 6 of their last 8 games, and the fans already think they know how the season will end.
Well, I expect them to maybe win 75 or 80, end up in the middle.
They're going to go all the way.
Why do you say that?
Number one, because they're doing great.
All the way, we hope. All the way.
All the way. They're going to go all the way because I think they started the year off just beautifully, and the people are starting to show up and really give them a hand.
It may not be Pennant Fever, but it's the closest thing to it ever seen in San Diego. For the news, I'm Jack Moorhead at the stadium.
How does one become a padret? I noticed that young lady there had padrets on her uni there, or whatever that was.
Well, they have tryouts, and people are hired by the club to be padrets. You want to be one?
Well, I mean, does it involve throwing and hitting and running?
No, all they do is sweep off bases, and occasionally they kiss umpires.
I qualify. May we have the sports, please?
Yeah, well, the Padres are amazing, just everybody, except maybe themselves. They beat the Dodgers 7-1 last night in front of that huge crowd you just saw, and they're getting ready to take on the Dodgers again tonight. Jack Moorhead, who is everywhere, was out at the stadium just a little while ago with the Insta-Cam.
Stands are empty now as the Padres prepare for tonight's game, but that sure wasn't the case last night when more than 43,000 fans crowded this stadium to cheer their division-leading team on to victory over the LA Dodgers. And that makes 7 out of the last 9 games this team's won. But what's a crowd like we had last night, and being in first place, mean to the players? Let's pull Glenn Beckert away from his batting practice and find out. Glenn, can you step over here a second? How does the team, the players, react to having a stadium full of really enthusiastic fans?
Well, it's just great. The players are out there. We're battling. We're picked for last place, and all of a sudden we emerge on top. I think we're what you call a Cinderella team, and the people of San Diego are just tremendous. They're coming out here, and giving us a standing ovation before the game started, and it reflects on the players. It gives them that little incentive to go out there and play much harder.
Do the guys play harder when they're in first place?
We sure do, especially the way the crowds were cheering. Everything we did with her, just made contact with the ball up at the plate, they were cheering. It's just tremendous.
Looks like a two-way street in baseball. A winning team brings out the fans, and the fans help a winning team. For the news, with the Insta-Cam, I'm Jack Moorhead at the San Diego Stadium.
Isn't pennant fever great? Well, the Padres might have played their best game so far in last night's 7-1 win over the Dodgers. They did it against one of baseball's better pitchers, Don Sutton. Bobby Tolan with a solid single to left here, driving in a run in the second inning. Sutton had won 15 straight games over the last 2 seasons, but the Padres were not impressed. Willie McCovey with a tremendous double here that almost dented the right field wall. Mike Ivey followed with a single to left, scoring 2 runs. The Padres scored 4 times here in the 5th inning. Randy Hundley capped things with a long shot off the left field wall for a double, driving in 2 more runs and making it a 7-0 ball game. That was plenty of cushion for Joe McIntosh, who held the Dodgers to just 5 hits. McIntosh, who was 0-4 last year, is now 3-0 this year. Tonight it'll be Dave Freisleben for the Padres against Dodger rookie Rick Rhoden. Game time 7 o'clock. In the majors so far this afternoon, the Cubs beat the Phillies 4-1 and the White Sox over Minnesota 4-3. With all the big-name stars playing out at the Tournament of Champions at La Costa, it is a long shot Jim Colbert who has the first-round lead. Colbert shot a 7-under par 65 and said his short game was the key. A nice chip shot here on the 9th hole to save a par. His playing partner, Hale Irwin, had a 2-under par 70. Irwin knocks in a 6-footer birdie putt there. He was 4-under par after 9 holes, but fell back. The odds-on favorite, Jack Nicklaus, also had a 70, which he called a very dull round. This shot, though, on number 2 was far from dull. Beautiful approach over a trap to within 3 feet of the cup. And from 3 feet, Big Jack did just what everybody knew he would. Put it in for a birdie. Just a dull round. Bobby Nichols is another golfer at 70. A great chip shot here out of the deep rough right in front of the green. Watch it. And Johnny Miller, you ask? Well, he shot a 74, 2 over par, 9 shots back of the leader, and he says he doesn't expect to win now. Here's a look at the leaders. Colbert with a 2-shot lead over Al Geiberger, a former San Diegan, and a current San Diegan, Gene Littler, 2 shots farther back, tied with Tom Watson. 4 golfers at 70, Nicholas, Irwin, Nichols, and Dave Hill. Lee Trevino at even par 72, and Miller his 74. Round 2 tomorrow out at La Costa. The tournament winds up on Sunday. And another boost for San Diego State's basketball program. Jerry Brown, a 6'6" forward from Mount Shasta and a high school All-American, signed a letter of intent with the Aztecs today. He has been called the best forward prospect in California. Looks good out there.
Hey, listen, it looked good last night at the stadium. I have a question, Do you think that the Padres they had to be nervous? They got skunked by the Dodgers last year. Over 40,000 people came out last night. They got it. They had to be nervous.
Well, McIntosh admitted that the big crowd saw these people, and he was terrified, but after they get into the game and they're doing what they do best, then it goes away.
They pulled it out.
Oh, it's great to see them win in front of a lot of people.
Yeah, it sure is. Thank you much, Hal. We'll be back in just a second.
My father, the artist. He likes everything I cook, everything but vegetables. So last night, I served him 4, and he loved them.
How did you do it?
I didn't. Stokely did with Stokely's Vegetable Sherry Combination Vegetables. Stokely's Frozen Vegetable Sherry. Carrots, green beans, onions, and imagine raisins. Things do taste better together. Now write that down. Stokely's Vegetables Sherry.
How did you do it?
Something new under the golden arches. 7-Up, the Uncola. Now part of the natural goodness you always get at McDonald's. From a quarter pounder to fries. From a cheeseburger to a Big Mac. So whatever you want on a bun, add on. Because now McDonald's carries on. Get a Big Mac, regular bag of fries, and a regular 7-Up. $1.18 value, just 99 cents with coupon from special 7-Up cartons or your newspaper.
If you write only a few checks per month, Bank of America has a checking plan exactly right for you. If you write a lot of checks, but don't want to pay increased service charges, Bank of America has a plan exactly right for you. If you occasionally overdraw your account, there's instant cash. It covers your checks and allows you to make yourself a loan. If you want simplicity and convenience in your checking account, there's Time Saver Statement. It makes check balancing a lot easier. Bank of America has more than 1,000 offices throughout the state. You can cash your checks practically anywhere you travel, or transfer your account automatically to a convenient office if you move to a new town. It's not by accident that more Californians have more checking accounts with Bank of America than with any other bank. It's because we give you so many options, so many ways to go. For all your checking needs, depend on us. More Californians do.
Tonight, we begin a new feature on the news in which you, the viewer, actually take part. It's called Feedback, and the idea is to let you know what other viewers think about what we do here each and every night, and we'll also answer questions asked through the mail or over the telephone. For instance, we had dozens of telephone calls about our special program last night on your San Diego gas and electric bill, and not too surprisingly, those callers had a lot of different opinions. One said, "Thanks for bringing the SDG&E matter to the surface," while another said, "Thanks for the commercial. Thanks for the memory." Another caller said they were simply glad to finally see what SDG&E President Walter Zitlaw looked like.
And we have had some feedback about the Padres. Now, one man wanted to send us a cash contribution for showing him the Monday night game, the one the Padres won. I wonder what he would have sent us had they have lost. But Mrs. Harold Abbey of La Jolla, she wanted to see Baltimore play that night, and she wants to know why we normally delay the broadcast until 8 o'clock. Well, we do that, Mrs. Abbey, so that more people can see the game and the news at 5.
Kind of selfish on our part.
That's
no,
right.
It's not really. A number of folks have called to thank Mike Ambrose for his weather forecasting work here on Channel 10, especially working with the handicap of not having a chair. Michael, of course, had a contest to resolve that, but we haven't seen the darn chair ever since the contest was completed. And George Zelmer of Escondido wanted to know if those of us hiding behind the American Airlines desk here actually wore cut-off jeans and tennis shoes. Mr. Zelmer, Hal and I are, but Jack, well, he's kind of partial to knickers.
Oh, I always like those knickers. Harold, you came in for a little criticism yourself from an angry construction worker. He said that you asked for rain during the week and sun on the weekends. He said if that happens, he would be out of work.
Well, one viewer called and said that he thinks that Bonnie Haynes is the most beautiful woman on television news. Nice of her father to give us a call here at Channel 10.
And another viewer called, and there were more reports who said that they wanted to see more reporters like you, Harold. Nice of your mother to call.
And finally, one viewer said he thought our news staff was great. Now listen, we'd like to hear from all of you, and each and every week we'll feed it back to you on Feedback.
Something that we have been watching for the past couple of years is the nostalgia craze. Nostalgia has meant some big profits for a lot of business people. Now, some of those businesses include the circus. Now, we don't mean just any circus, but those still setting up tents and carrying sideshows and all of the other traditional elements of the circus. 50 years ago, more than 30 tented shows, big and small, crisscrossed this country. But this spring, only 5 tented shows will be on the road. This is the largest, Circus Vargas. The circus management says the nostalgia craze has brought people out by the hundreds to see how the circus used to be in days gone by. But every circus fan knows the most exciting place on any circus lot is the backyard, the area out behind the big top, where the various acts practice, and then practice some more. And occasionally, they even try to teach a 1st of May a few new things.
Yeah, that's good. I got your food over here. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Just a piece of cake. Piece of cake.
Yeah. You see what we mean by that?
Got it. Yeah, got it. It's a rough bag. A rough bag. Got it.
Now look, Mark. No hands. No hands. No hands. Yeah.
No hands.
Yeah. Well, then step off, you know.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, but to the camera. That's how it is.
I don't think we impress those animals at all. And in case you've been wondering why I've been sitting on this, now you know.
It's a wonder your voice didn't go up a couple of octaves. That's the news. The NBC Nightly News is next. Take care of one another and have a nice night from all of us here at Channel 10.